All right. Good morning, everybody. So Monday morning, and Bueller just finished his show. So we're gonna go live for about 30 minutes here and discuss a few things that are going on. Um, I thought so. Last week we were in the discussion and conventions came up. So Um, and somebody was asking, what do you do at a convention? How do you kind of handle yourself? And there are a number of videos from some great YouTubers out there about con etiquette, what to do, what not to do, and things like that. So I thought I'd kind of throw my hat in the ring and put my spin on that. Sorry, I'm just trying to get um, Instagram kind of fired up here as well. I'm trying to remember to do a little more with Instagram. All right. So we got Instagram going. So yeah, it was not Saturday 2 days ago, but a week prior to that, there was a convention, one of the local stores here, and the Nerd Store in Utah. They're based in the mall, and they have an arrangement with the mall where they do this comic book convention at the mall every year. And they bring in all these indie creators, and they like to bill it as a creator con, where creators get to come in and discuss their books and kind of sell what they've got. And it's really a great time. They have some fantastic guests. It was a little bit smaller this year, of course, because of COVID and everything that goes along with that. But what I really like about this convention is it's really a kind of it's got an old school comic book feel. There's nothing there but comic books. You won't see TV actors from, I don't know, Jane the Virgin and stuff like that. And that happens a lot in our local Salt Lake FanX, the big con. So you get a lot of just actors at that one, which is fine if that's your thing. Go see your actors. But at the Wasatch Comic-Con, they actually have comic book creators, the people that are there that have drawn the books, have written the books, and that type of stuff. Good morning, Marvin. I'm going to talk a little bit about cons this morning. I only do about 30 minutes on Monday mornings, but I thought I'd pop in and kind of discuss what these conventions are and kind of my take on how I go to a convention. Morning, Buffy. And good morning, Bobby Delgado. Good to see you. So anyway, at this year's con, let's see, they had Jim Magon, Doug Wagner was there, Chad Harding was there, Kyle Starks was there. I mean, these are all people like Rick and Morty, Suicide Squad artists, Shelby Webb, Travis Romney was there. So Sal Valuto, of course, we all know who Sal Valuto is. Adrian Rope, did a lot of my childhood, a lot of Cananimation with Rocky and Bullwinkle, Underdog, that kind of stuff. Really love that. We had local creator Andrew Malin was there, and he does a local Utah-centric comic book. So every one of these guests, so they had 12, 13 guests, so not a lot. But every one of them was either a comic book artist or a comic book creator, which I think is super cool. They had Lindsay Kuhn there, which I don't know if you don't know who this cat is, but he is a very famous poster artist for like concert posters. He did the very first Tool concert or poster, and they've actually turned that into the cover of a Tool rock and roll biography exclusive comic book for the Nerd Store. I think Hive Comics has them available as well. This is the Wasatch Comic-Con. And it's really cool because the way they have it set up, so they've got down the center of the mall, they took like one of the offshoots, hallways, and blocked it off and put a kind of a nice entranceway over it with a banner and everything. And they made that the creator alley, the guest alley, and they put all the guests down there so you could go in and not be bothered by people shopping and stuff. You could talk to the guests in a very intimate setting, which is super cool. And it really is a throwback to those days when we used to have Comic-Cons in school gymnasiums and rec centers and places like that. So very cool. The next one is going to be spring of next year. So Marvin, I will definitely reach out to you because we want to have you there. It's kind of right up your alley. And if we have to, I got extra room in the house. You can stay with me and we can talk comics the whole time. So we'll get you in for sure. It'll be cool. So they had kind of the artist alley down there you could go, and then down the center aisle of the mall and the main walkway were all the vendors where they would set up. And you had, of course, local artists there doing artwork and stuff. And then you had comic shops. There were a couple comic shops there that were set up. Hive Comics was there. And then you had kind of the day sellers, the people, the flippers were there as well. So that was all very cool. And so the really cool thing about this particular con is it's completely sponsored by the Nerd Store, and they do it in such a way that everything was free. Like you just walk into the mall and you can shop comics, and then you can go see they had you put a wristband on so they could kind of gauge attendance, but you could go see all of these artists for free. And to me, that is like the greatest because you get it. I mean, I got to sit down and chat with Sal Valuto for quite a little while and talk about comics, talk about art and see what his passions are. And that kind of stuff is a lot of fun. So, and I did some recording. It's up on my YouTube channel. You can go back and take a look at it. And I think next spring when we do it again, I will be much better prepared. I'm going to go in and just kind of report from the whole con. So that was very cool. There are a couple of cons coming up very soon. The next one that I am going to in about a week here is FanX. So FanX is Salt Lake's big Comic-Con, and they get a lot of big name guests there, but they also have a lot of actors that aren't in, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I mean, I love MASH, I grew up on MASH, I love it, but they're going to have a lot of actors from MASH there, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But this is their guest list. They got Murr from Impractical Jokers, Ming Chang, of course, Comic Book Men. And they're going to have Mary McConnell, Edward James Elmos from the new Battlestar Galactica. So that's kind of cool. I've actually got some of those comics. I can't remember who put them out, but those are very cool. Oh, what did we do there? Not sure what we had going on there. All right. More guests coming. So they have quite a few guests at this. I wanted to see what they have for actual comic creators. One of the criticisms that they get is they don't get many actual comic book creators. And it's interesting to me because they build themselves as a Comic-Con, but it's so expensive to go there and set up to sell that none of us in Utah are going to be there as a business. A few of us are going to show up, and a couple of the bigger guys, I think Nerd Store is going to be there, and I think Hive Comics, of course, but they do things a little bit differently. Their businesses, all the exclusives and stuff, so there's a reason for that. But they're going to have Dan Rosa there, John Boy Myers, Brian Hamberlin, Bob Allman, and Chip Mosher. So what I think is interesting about this is they could have actually gotten every single one of those comic book creators that were at Wasatch too. I mean, I'm sure they would have loved to have been back in Salt Lake for this event. But it just seems to be a comic convention that's more for pop culture than for actual comic books. And, you know, it is fairly expensive. I can't remember what it was. It was nearly a little over $200 for a 3-day pass just to get into the convention. So, you know, it's kind of pricey for the average comic book goer. So, and then of course I am going to be going up to Rose City. I'm going up there with some of my friends from the Utah Comic Crew. We've got Hive Comics and Nerd Store both going. They're going to have a bunch of great guests. Tony Flex is going to be there. Get some Stray Dogs signed. Teeny Howard's going to be there from Excalibur. Black Ranger. So that's going to be a good time. And of course, that's up in Bueller's area. Bueller, Bob, Damien have all said they're going to at least pop in. So we'll be able to mingle once we get up there. So Rose City is going to be fun. So one of the things that got me kind of on the subject of conventions is, you know, everybody does their obligatory convention do's and don'ts or type video. This one, so we all know, you know, the joke stuff, wear deodorant and make sure you shower and all that. Yeah. I think the most important thing when you're talking about going to a convention is make sure that you stay in the moment. For small conventions, things like even Washington State doesn't look like it's a huge convention. I'm hoping to get there next year. Even Rose City doesn't look huge, but things like FanX and San Diego and New York and MegaCon and these big conventions, a lot of those are possibly even a once in a lifetime deal for a lot of your casual comic book collectors. So make sure you're in the moment and you take the opportunity to enjoy everything that's going on around you. Interact with the cosplay. They like to take pictures with you and stuff like that, and take that opportunity. See those artists and those creators that you enjoy their work and that you can appreciate and that you have a connection with, because that's going to be more meaningful for you. I was one of those people that has that story where when I was younger, I was at a comic book convention. It was here in Salt Lake, and I got to meet Stan Lee. He was doing autographs and stuff, and I didn't, because of other stuff that was going on there. Of course, Indiana Jones, real big at the time, and that comic book was out, and the artist for that book, and I mean, I appreciate the artwork in that book, and I love it, and I collect that book. But because of all the hype around that, Stan Lee kind of got pushed off the side, and I didn't get Stan Lee's autograph that time. And I didn't really spend a lot of time with him, but I got to meet him and shake his hand and say thank you for creating the Things Marvel Comics. But it was a missed life opportunity, because I look back now at how he didn't have anybody around his booth, and I could have spent hours there talking to Stan Lee, and how many of us would give anything for that opportunity now, right? So, make sure that you're in the moment, that you're aware of what you're doing. Don't get blinded by the flash and that type of stuff. You're there to enjoy yourself, not to enjoy the con as other people have told you how to do it. So keep that in mind. Very important. And when I go to a con, and I actually did have an opportunity a few years later with some wisdom behind me to have dinner with Stan Lee, and that was an amazing experience in and of itself. There were actually a couple creators there that I got to sit and have dinner with, and it was pretty crazy. But one my biggest tip that I have for anybody going to a con is you have to remember that when you're in that environment, every single person in that room has the same love for comic books. We have a shared affection for our hobby. Everybody is going to be friendly and very open. Very seldomly is there any conflict at a comic book convention. And I would recommend always take the time to interact with those around you. And I know that's not easy for a lot of us to do. I am very not a social person regularly. When it comes to cons, however, I'm out there and I talk books with everybody because it's something that I'm comfortable with. It's something they're comfortable with, and it allows them to share on a personal level with somebody else. And the benefit that you get from that, a perfect example is we were at this last con. They had what they called the Comic Cove. They had two probably 20-foot long tables, and they were like white tables, and they had long boxes on them. And you would go up and down this cove and dig through the long boxes. And the deal was you could fill, the books were $1 a piece, or you could fill a long box, you could fill a short box for $75 or a long box for $100. And we're pros, right? So I can get close to 300 books in a long box. I think my long box had 281 books in it. But so you've got, there were 20 people digging through these boxes, and it was me and my buddy James from Hive Comics. He was on the other aisle, and I know what he's into, and he knows what I'm into, and we're digging through the boxes, and we can pull books out and be like, James, is this one you need? So that's one thing. But if you're social and you're interacting and you're in that moment with the rest of the collectors around you, there's a synergy that happens that you are able to keep your ears open. And like one guy was looking for the Amazing Spider-Man that had Barack Obama on the cover. That I don't know what issue it is, but he's looking for that issue specifically, and he had mentioned it. And then a young lady next to me was looking for like old Swamp Thing and old horror books and stuff like that. And so we're digging through the books, and whenever I came up with those, I'd be like, hey, here you go. Here's that Obama, or here's that Swamp Thing. And she was like really excited about Will Eisner, and I found a whole stack of Will Eisner art books. So if you're interacting with the people and you're talking about these books, you're able to make those connections. And they were finding Conans and giving them to me, and Star Wars over here and giving them to me. And there was like a big chunk of Star Wars Darth Vader I was able to pick up that way, and a bunch of Miss Marvel hot books that are hitting right now. So my advice is stop and talk to people and enjoy it and listen to what they have to say. Don't try to be that person that's like, oh, I know comic books and this is what they're worth, and let them tell you what their interest is, and they'll be like, oh, this guy over there he's got Conan #1, so I went over and looked at Conan #1, stuff like that. So you cannot be every place, especially in a larger convention. You cannot be every place. So if you're talking to people and you're interacting and you're having that shared experience, you're going to be able to find better deals on stuff. I mean, it's just going to work out better for you because people will be like, oh yeah, I saw that, and this is where I saw it. So that is my one major tip to con running. All the rest falls in place. Make sure you have a bottle of water with you, know where the restrooms are, all that stuff. Carry I used to carry an Overstreet. I don't anymore. I've, of course, gone to my phone, and you're always looking at eBay sold listings and coverprice.com and Key Collector app. And I was surprised. I've been told that when you're at the con and you pull out your phone, that the people at the con kind of will give you some grief for that. Nobody said a thing. They understand. And I mean, not only do I have all my price guides on my phone, I've also got, my CLZ and my cover price where I have my collections catalog. So I need that to know what books I'm going to pick up. And quite frankly, if somebody were to tell me, you can't look at your phone while you're digging through my boxes, whether it's a con or a store, I will walk away. I mean, it's part of the hobby. It's how we keep ourselves informed. And if they can't appreciate that, makes me a little bit wary of what they're doing. All right. So that's my spiel on that whole thing. So I am going to, with my remaining 5-6 minutes here, I got some books in for pressing that are really great that I kind of wanted to share with the community real quick. Nick Comic Culture. Good morning, Nick. Good to see you here. Says, I'll have a bunch of PDFs from Tinian. I'm assuming that you're talking about printed material. And if that's the case, we just press them just like we would a poster or a single sheet document. Oh, okay. All right. I actually missed like the first hour of the coffee show this morning. So I'm going to have to go back and kind of catch up on that. So to be honest, I'm not really exactly sure what Substack is. I think it's just a digital reading forum. It's not for me. I'm not buying digital comics. I'm not going to buy digital comics, although I did get, of course, the Comic Tom boxes now have the comic tags from Scout. And I did read them all that way because they're putting a whole trade on that, so you can just bring it up on your tablet and read it, and I love it. I think that's a super cool way to read something that you wouldn't normally have read. But as far as going out and just subscribing to something like Substack or any digital comic format, that's not for me. That's not how I'm ever going to collect. I got to have my physical medium, and honestly, this is why, because if you have the physical medium, that's when you get books like this 30, 40 years down the road. So these are some books that I picked up. Of course, we're going to be doing some pressing on them for a great customer. Really enjoy those. Defenders, issue number 1. And I was joking with them because this one is far better than my copy. I'm a mid-grade collector. I would like this in a much, much higher grade than what I currently have. Some Strange Tales, Warlock. Very cool book there. Got a couple Brother Voodoos. So this one's been coming through quite a bit lately. I thought that our spec on the character was dead, but I have been seeing quite a bit of that one coming through. A few Fantastic Fours. Of course, this is issue number 6, the king-sized Fantastic Four. We got FF number 19. This is the Ramatut. So I think this is probably the bigger of the King keys, I would think. So I'm expecting that one to kind of really take off, especially when our next season of Loki drops. We've got Fantastic Four. This is number 50. Of course, that beautiful Silver Surfer iconic cover there. And then we've got issue number 67. These all actually came out of the same collection that you've heard me talk about. This gentleman had every issue from Fantastic Four from number 1 to like 600 and something. It was a crazy run. He had every single issue except for 2. It was like issue 4 and issue 12 or something weird like that. Warlock number 1. Of course, we're expecting to see Adam Warlock. There's been a lot of spec around Adam Warlock in the last couple of years. A nice Iron Man versus Namor, issue number 54. We actually had some issues with the auction on Saturday. There were some books that I wanted to make sure were included that they're foreign books, and we were unable to get them in. So it has been rescheduled to next Sunday. So next Sunday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and it's probably only going to be an hour or two. We're just going to do just auctions. I got Chris from Cardboard Crazy says he's still in, so he's going to show up and probably will hang out with me the whole time. And we're going to auction off all those books. And then I have some foreign stuff coming in from my foreign guy here locally. And it's super cool stuff. Some Italian stuff and Turkish stuff. Of course, the Russian Spider-Man, Punisher, all that. So hopefully that's going to be, even if it's not here this week, we're still going with Sunday. That's the last day we can do it and get the funds where we need for the closeout of their fiscal year at the charity and that kind of stuff. So this Sunday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time is when that's going to happen. There's another one that I need for my personal collection. Doctor Strange, issue number 1. So very cool. We got a couple really cool adventure comics. You don't see many Golden Age kicking around much anymore. Some nice 10 centers. In great condition, too. I love having some green on an Incredible Hulk cover. Silver Age, Green Lantern. Of course, Green Lantern's getting big. We've got Tales to Astonish, number 93. That beautiful Hulk Submariner cover. We all like that one. Warlock from Strange Tales is issue 180. And who doesn't like some great pre-code horror? Like there's a couple of those, just beautiful books. Like that's a area that I'm slowly getting into. And of course, I actually have one of these at CGC right now, in much better condition than this. But press. We got a spine roll on it that needs to come out, and we need to chamber it. There's been some water damage and stuff to it. But Doll Man issue number 3, beautiful, perfect Golden Age book. Everybody loves Doll Man. That one's super cool. And then I picked up a couple books. We're doing some pressing for one of the comic shops. Amazing Spider-Man, of course, that lizard. It's a beautiful book. What is it? Issue number 6, Amazing Spider-Man number 6. Just a great, very early ASM Silver Age. And Journey into Mystery with Thor, 72 center. So this is the annual number 1. This is the first Hercules, a character that I would expect to see coming to the MCU sooner than later. So that is a great book to have. He picked that up in a collection over the weekend. He had like a good run of Journey into the Mystery. There were like 20, 25 books in the run, and every one of them was one of these keys. So very cool book. Just wanted to show those off. Okay, so that's going to be it for today. I appreciate you popping in and saying howdy. I'm going to be again showing off the books that we're going to be doing in the auction on Sunday. So, that gave everybody an extra week to get some money in your pockets. I know Bueller's got his thing on Fridays, and we want to support that as well. And of course, he's going to have some great books. So it's going to be a high dollar weekend for the comic community. So we will see you all tomorrow. And I appreciate you. Later, traders.